Welcome back to Straight Facts on Wednesday. It's a beautiful sunny day here in England. It really is. And that's about all we have to look forward to because football is dead. The season is dead. Enjoy the sun. That's the best message. And my team's got a semi-final to play tomorrow, but I don't want to watch it because I hate it. I'm so nervous. I'm joined by Judge Mo. I'm joined by the Don Husam. How are you, boys? You both well?
Yes. Both. Actually, I don't want to speak for more, but yes, I'm great. Alhamdulillah, everything is fantastic. They laughed at me, and now they're no longer laughing after losing 1-0. So, yeah.
Well, you're not.
Why did they laugh at you?
For the
you
PSG.
were wrong against Real Madrid, and it's okay.
For PSG. Beating PSG at home ain't for everyone.
Oh yeah, because of this. Yeah. I get it. Now they want to be like you, because you beat PSG away 1-0. Now they want to be like,
exactly.
I want to be like Liverpool.
Go on.
Yeah. I want to be like Liverpool.
Yeah. Listen, it's there's a lot to unpack from last night. We're going to be talking about that on the show, so stay with us. We're taking a look. I want to get the boys' opinion on this Gyokeres deal that seems to really be picking up a little bit of pace, and maybe not so much in Arsenal's direction, but because they were seen as the favourites, is that now changing? Ahmad returns for Manchester United. He's back in full training with the team. How big a boost is that for United's hopes of maybe pulling off a Europa League trophy and triumph this year? Plus it's Inter's big night as well, and we're not going to let Mo go for a show without giving us word on his team and what he thinks is going to happen as well. He talks a lot about everybody else's size, but we're not letting him get away with that one today. So loads to go through, loads to talk about. Make sure if you haven't done so already that you have smashed the like buttons, that you are subscribing to the Football Terrace. Get that all done now. It takes you a few seconds if you haven't done so already, but get it done right about now, people. But I wanted to start off. We will get into the Arsenal thing, but we'll let the audience build up. It takes a little bit of time on YouTube, as we know. But I wanted to start with Manchester United actually today, just for a change of flavour, just to get everybody warmed up while they're making a cup of tea or coffee and getting the popcorn ready. But Ahmad and De Ligt have returned to full training with Man United. So they're actual training with the first team now, which typically means they're ready to return to first team action. How big a boost do you think that is to Man United's chances against Bilbao over the course of the next week?
I think Man United are going to win against Bilbao, to be honest with you.
I wanted to say the same thing. Can you disagree? Can you disagree? Can you say Bilbao are going to win? I don't want us to agree from the beginning. I didn't think it's United are going to be.
I said what on my mind. I actually don't know.
I genuinely
I don't know if Man United are going to play away or home first. That's how insignificant Europa League is for me this season. To be honest with you, it's not a dig at Man United. You know, Terry, this is the worst Europa League ever. You know what I'm talking about. It's the worst Europa League ever. But listen,
Worst Europa League, worst Premier League. Yeah, I can take that.
All right, I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah, I can take it.
I wouldn't disagree. But listen, from a content perspective, from someone who works with the Premier League people and analyze Premier League, I want to see Spurs versus Man United in the final. So I have a feeling that Man United will face Spurs in the final. It will be a big final. It will be a good final. I think Man United. Listen, I watched some of the Bilbao games this season. Not a lot, like maybe a handful of games. Very quick team, very fast team, but I think Man United can actually pull it off with the way they play. That energy that Man United do in big games, that we have seen it against Liverpool, we've seen it against Arsenal, we have seen it against Man City when you won 2-1 at the Etihad. If Amorim can build this team up in terms of mentality to think that this is a big game, this is your biggest game of the season, Man United perform. Man United don't perform against the Palaces and the Wolves. They don't. They just don't. Like we have arrived at this conclusion months ago. But in the big this season, Man United have performed. We all have seen it this season. We all have watched it. When the big things are on the line against Lyon, 4-2 at extra time, everyone walked away from the TV. They laughed at Man United, and at the end, Man United pulled it off, right? So I believe that Amorim will be able to prepare the team for a game that is the biggest game of Man United season. The reason why it's the biggest game of Man United season, and every game in Europa League is your biggest game, because I think your future relies on these games. I think you making the Champions League might cut 3 years of the rebuild, might cut back 3 years of the rebuild. And instead of having 4, 5, 6 years, it might be 2 years. Because making Champions League football makes a difference in transfers, in finances, in how players look at your club, and et cetera, et cetera. So for me, I genuinely believe that Amrim will be able. And everyone that said that Amrim is bad, after Amrim win, don't come back and say he's good. Like, you're not allowed to, right? Like, if Amrim wins Europa League, you're not allowed to.
Don't mention any names. Staffy.
Staffy Ahmed is the one who said Amrim out. Like, fifth loss, he said Amrim out. I want him out. So for me, I'm looking at this. They have the players that step up in big games. And I'm just going to let Husam talk. But I have a feeling that
I think Man United and Spurs share the same thing, Mo. I just think they just
don't do that. Please don't put me and Spurs in the same thing.
No,
like
you share the same mentality, which is in the
I know
Premier
the difference
League,
between Spurs and Man United.
No, but hear me
only
out.
one name. There's only one name that is different between Man United and Spurs. Only one name. It's called Alex Ferguson. That Alex Ferguson, they're similar.
Wow.
They're similar. It's just
I'm not going to go that far. The
But
part
anyway,
that I
that
meant
is
was
What?
the thing
Most
The only difference is you had Alex Ferguson.
You're
They
trolling.
didn't.
You're trolling. Do you know? I
I'm
watched
not
something.
trolling.
I watched something last night, and this man
It's
said,
the same, bro.
I'm trying to be a different. I watched something last night that inspired me. I'm trying to be a different human being. And it said that, and I'll ask you two these questions. Can you please, like, indulge me when I ask you this? If I squeeze an orange juice, what comes out? Sorry, if I squeeze an orange, what comes out? I squeeze an orange juice.
Orange
Orange
juice.
juice. Cool. If I squeeze 10,000 oranges one after the other, how likely is it that apple juice or grape juice or Coca-Cola comes out of any of them?
Impossible.
Yeah. So this guy said that, and I'm thinking, what's he talking about? And he says, now take the metaphor right through. He went, if someone says something, can you react angrily or nastily or spitefully? It's not about what they've said or done. It's about what's inside you. All right. So I'm not going to react angrily because I know that we're better than Tottenham. I'm just going to let it go over my head and breathe.
Yes.
The
point that I was trying to make was not Mo's point. I was not talking about the history of Man United. I'm saying that when I watch both clubs in the Premier League, they don't care. That's the same mentality that I'm talking about. But as soon as the Europa League kicks off, they care. That's just the reality of the situation. So that's the mentality that I meant. I'm not talking about historically as a club.
No.
I'm saying I really think Man United care about the Europa League. I really think Spurs care about the Europa League. I think Mo, I think I was on Mo's channel or on Straight Facts 3 weeks ago when I said Spurs are going to the Europa League final. People laughed then, but I made that prediction. And I really think United will beat Bilbao. Like, I really think United will beat Bilbao. I really think, like, I'm not even trying to do this for content. I'm actually giving my honest opinion. Guys, Spurs and
You're simping for Man United because Terrace, you're on Terrace channel.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that old chestnut.
That old chestnut. Yeah. That's why we spent 52 minutes arguing about Scholes with you, and Potts just sat there watching. So, yeah, because I obviously love Man United. Anyway, back to the topic. Spurs and clean sheet, right? Spurs and clean sheet. They don't go together in the same sentence. Spurs went away to Frankfurt, kept a clean sheet. You cannot explain this. Other than the fact that the players, they hear, whoa, and like, oh, yes, let's play football now. Like, because they just don't give a shit about the Premier League at all. At all. It would not shock me. This is how far I would go, right? Let's check just the Manchester United next two fixtures. So Man United go away to Bilbao, and then they go away to Brentford on Sunday, okay? It would not shock me whatsoever if they beat Bilbao 1-0 and then lose to Brentford 3-0. It would not shock me. I really wouldn't be shocked. Because it's just they just haven't been acting in a way that they care about the Premier League. So for me, I really think Spurs are going to make it to the final. I think United are going to make it to the final. The thing with Bilbao, I do think Bilbao is a tough test because Bilbao is a club that's very solid defensively. I think they've been very solid defensively this season. Their number 10 is out. I think his name is Sanchez or something. One of them or something like that. Like he's out. I think Bilbao currently have the strongest defense in La Liga, which is obviously like they're defending really well. And it could be a chance for like a Nico Williams to show like, the world, the Premier League clubs, what really he's all about. So For me, I do think United are going to win. Not necessarily tomorrow's game, but the tie. Like, I think tomorrow, because it's away, you probably draw 1-1, something like
don't
that.
score a lot of goals, right?
Say that again?
Bilbao don't score a lot of goals.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's all I said. 1-1 draw. Like, I'm not going anything crazy.
Look, listen, it's
But
really,
you will qualify it. But just tomorrow, I'm saying.
I hope you're right. I don't necessarily have very much confidence. If I'm being honest, why don't I have the confidence? Because of how poor the season has been. We've been let down so many times. That being said, our big game performances, by and large, have been very good under Amorim. In the Europa League, with Amorim, Ruud, and Ten Hag, we've been unbeaten, and we've been able to beat sides. And I'm intrigued to see how we play against them, because I haven't watched Bilbao very much this year. I've seen bits and pieces, but I haven't watched them anywhere near as much as, for instance, I was talking about PSG last night. I've watched them a hell of a lot more. I've watched Barcelona more, Real Madrid. I haven't watched too much of Bilbao to know.
Yeah, but people tell you that Bilbao are very strong because you watch Bilbao every week. You have to follow the steps of people that watch Bilbao every week.
So I agree. So I agree, and
I'm trolling, Terry. I'm joking. The people that say that I'm trolling.
Some people do. Some people do say they're really, really good, and it's fine. I'm not. What I'm saying is, I'm not writing them off. I'm not taking them easy. I'm also not going into this game, though, thinking we're playing the greatest Spanish team in the history of football and we have zero chance. I want us to come out. Listen, I'd love to come out of Spain with a win, but I'm also not deluded about where my club is right now and historically how poor we do in Spain. If we can walk away with a draw or a narrow defeat by a singular goal, if we lost 1-0 tomorrow night, 2-1, I'm not, depend on how we play. As long as we can create chances, as long as we're really in the game, I would then be confident we could turn that round at Old Trafford. Obviously, I don't want to lose. I'm not going to be happy with losing before anybody, that's when the toaster people and the amoebas start saying, that's low standards. I'm not saying I want to lose. I'm not saying I'm going to say, it's okay, guys. What I'm stating is that depending on how we play, as long as we're creating chances, I think at Old Trafford, we may have enough to get the job done. But yeah, Ahmad being back, I think is massive for us because he is someone... And I don't know if he's going to be fit enough. It's an interesting one.
He won't start directly.
Well, no, I don't think he'll start this game, but it's interesting. People, I know that Luke Shaw and Mount have been back for a long time, and they've only just started to start games. Mount actually hasn't started one yet. But their injury was very, very different from Ahmad's. Ahmad's wasn't another muscle pulling and ripping. It was a contact injury on the ankle. It's only been a couple of months, actually, that he's about a month and a half that he's been out. He's been back doing a hell of a lot of fitness-wise. He'll be back to full fitness a lot quicker than someone who's snapped a hamstring and had 4 months after operations, etc. So I expect him to be on the bench, but, bringing him on with 15, 20 minutes to go, one, is great for his fitness, and two, gives us a chance of scoring goals. That's one thing we've lacked in our front line is players that can score goals. And the element I'm a little bit excited about is the Old Trafford return leg if he stays fit, because to suddenly have him and Garnacho being able to peel off and run at fullbacks is something we haven't had now for 2.5 months. And we know Garnacho isn't at Ahmad level, but when you've got two players that can do that in a team, we saw it at a much greater scale and higher quality last night for PSG. But when two wingers can run from either side, it makes it a lot harder for a team to defend. With Man United, you saw it against Bournemouth. Every attack we got, let's work it down the left and we'll try and work it in the box. Everything goes down the left. It would be nice again to be able to play down the left and the right. It makes it a little bit less predictable. Yeah. A little bit less predictable. So I'm really happy he's back.
Can I tell you something tactically that people don't understand about three at the back?
Go on.
Having Luke Shaw provides a completely different element to Man United formation in a 3-4-3.
Is he actually fit now? I'm not even...
He played last game 90 minutes. I guess not. What people don't understand.
I was busy winning the league that day. I'm sorry.
Bastoni, for example, having a left center back that can cross the ball, that can go forward, provides a completely different element than having three center backs, Maguire, De Ligt, Mazraoui. It's completely Al Nioro, completely different. Having Luke Shaw might actually tilt the title completely towards Man United favor, because Bilbao would not face a team with a left back, the left center back that can go forward, support the wing back. For the majority of the time, Man United never had a left center back that can go forward. Luke Shaw's fit will help Patrick Dorgo. I hope that he doesn't play left wing back. I hope that he plays left center back because Luke Shaw is solid defensively. I can go forward. The problem is, can he play 90 minutes? Right? That is the question. But Luke Shaw is someone who can cross from far, can go forward, can support that left-hand side, has enough experience. He's not a bad player. Like he's always been, when Luke Shaw was fit, he's always started for Man United or England. That shows the quality of the player. The problem is he's always been injured. But if he's fit for these 2 games, I think he can help you massively. And he can help Dorgo, to be honest, like manage the game very well. Because Dorgo's quick, but he lacks a lot of experience, to be honest.
No, I understand that. I think, look, we started to see it come to fruition because I think in the first 5 or 6 games under Amorim, Martinez was really struggling. He was just coming to grips with it. But then he started to play really well. And there was obviously, take the goals out of the games. His performances against Manchester City, but then he came forward and helped set up a goal, but defensively brilliant. Performance against Liverpool, scored a goal, but was defensively out of this world. He did it again against Rangers. Again, played brilliantly individually in that game. And then because he's very good on the ball, he got into a position to knock one of those balls in for a deep line run. His injury has been a massive problem for United because United, I heard Jamie Redknapp talking about this. Me and Goldbridge were speaking about it yesterday morning, and Redknapp said this really weird thing about we can't pretend that all of United's players are rubbish, but no one does pretend that. We all say we need a squad overhaul, but we all know when everybody's fully fit, we all know that Lisandro Martinez, United fans anyway, is a very good player. We know Bruno's a very good player. Ahmad's a very good player. These are individuals that I think will still be here. Lisandro, it's the injuries. He's had 2 knee injuries now. Will he ever come back to his best? We don't know. Let's see. But remove that ability-wise, we were all very happy with these individuals. So having Luke Shaw back, the technical level of the team rises up 110%. And yeah, look, I also think the Lit returning is also very important for us.
Why are me and Mo more confident than you, Terry? I don't understand this. We're literally like more confident that United will win.
Because it's, but I'm always like this before big games. It's nothing. Take this season and how bad we've been in the league out of it.
You mean?
I said this in the group chat last night. People don't understand. I mean, if someone said, "Oh, Terry's exposed himself as an Arsenal fan." I said it on the stream last night. I said before that Arsenal game kicked off, the sun was shining. It was a typical British Champions League semi-final game, and my club hasn't been in them for many years. But I remember that period, what I still think is the greatest period of English club football, the best teams ever that we've ever had in this country as a collective, from 2004 through to sort of 2013. Those Man United, Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea semi-finals that happened in that decade, it reminded me of that. But even back then, I enjoyed all of my rival semi-finals as football matches more than my own because I'm a bag of nerves. And that's probably what it is more than anything. I'm finding it really hard to even speak about the Man United game because I'm so nervous because I really want to win it. And so that's probably why there's a lack of confidence and belief. It's because I'm a bag of nerves. I can't help it. You know, I'm like that whether we're an amazing team or whether we're an average team. And yeah, it's
if you told Terry like 15 years ago that you'll be very nervous about a Europa League semi-final against a Bilbao team, he would laugh at you. He would laugh at you.
Yeah, Europa League definitely. 15 years ago, I never would have.
Standards of Man United.
Well, it is
Europa League.
Hang on, but you're Liverpool. I remember you guys, wanting open top bus parades when you come back against Dortmund in the same competition. Let's not sit here and you've been there.
And we never said otherwise. When we played Europa League final,
you're literally me 10 years ago. I've never denied this.
By the way, I'm not saying this is a dig. I'm saying that people don't understand that it can change and it can go back. Yeah, it can change. Like Liverpool came back 3 Champions Leagues. Finals, 1-1, 1-2 Premier League.
This bad in the league, though. That's
it is what it is. But I suppose it's this thing. Like I'm not one of these crazy, strange, off their nuts football fans who I see some football fans. I remember hearing this from people when we were in the Europa League at other times, going, "I don't even care if we win it or lose it. We shouldn't even be in it. We should be at a much higher level." I find that attitude a little bit. It tells me you don't understand it. Well, it's entitled, but it tells me you don't understand the history of Manchester United. Nothing is guaranteed. You can't be entitled, but I still want to win the competitions that I'm in. And one of the reasons why I want to win it is imagine having the 3 years Man United have had, but picking up 3 trophies in that time. Because I think it's always important for clubs our size to be adding trophies to the cabinet. But at the same time, in 20 years' time, when it may be us, we may be old men doing it, maybe a younger generation sitting there debating who the biggest, who the best is, who's got whatever legacy, that will be another European trophy in our cabinet. And what nobody will be saying in 20 years' time is, yes, but this happened that season and this went on. It will just be seen as, well, United have X amount of European trophies. So I do want it because I want the legacy that comes with it. And there's a bigger impact for us as well. Man United I think we'll be a better team next year with that Champions League money, because I think that Champions League money is an extra 2 signings. And if you look at the players we're currently being linked to, it's really good players. And I think there's an outside chance that we get, I think there's a chance we get Delap, who I think is a very good player. I think there's still a good chance that we get Victor Gyokeres. The way it hasn't been shut down by a lot of top journalists, it sounds and reads to me like he's waiting to see whether we're in the Champions League or not. I still think Arsenal are the firm favourites, but I like what we're targeting. So just forget whether we get them or not. I like the quality of player we're targeting. They tick the physical and the speed elements that we need in this game, plus the technical level. So am I more confident of an improved Man United team next season with an extra £100 million of income to help us spend on players? Of course. So there's so many reasons why I want to win it, but yeah, I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. Very, very nervous. But listen, it's possible. I'm not saying I'm not going to do no zero chance bullshit. It is possible that Man United win this Europa League. And of course, I'd love to it would be hilarious with the amount of shit we've had this year to walk away with a major European trophy. It'd be lovely. Yeah,
I agree with you. I do think Spurs will win though. I ain't even gonna lie. I think Spurs are gonna win the whole thing. I think they're gonna get to find they're gonna win whether they play Bilbao.
What is more fun for content?
Spurs winning 100%. Are you mad? First time in 20-something years. Like, because Man United have won 2 Europa Leagues before. Then you win 2 Europa Leagues, Terry.
Sorry.
Or one.
One. Mourinho won.
No, they've won before Europa League more than one time.
No.
They won the cup winner. They haven't won Europa League.
We won the cup. We won the Cup Winners' Cup, which was seen as big. Remember, the Cup Winners' Cup was bigger than the UEFA Cup when it was a thing. We have to be honest about that. But yes, it was.
No. There was only 2 competitions.
No. There wasn't. When the Cup Winners' Cup was on, you had the Champions League, you had the UEFA Cup, and you had the Cup Winners' Cup. But winning your domestic trophy was always seen as a bigger. The team that came second would go into like the Europa League or the UEFA Cup, or what it used to be called the Intercity Fairs Cup, which Arsenal have won, by the way. Most people don't realize that became the UEFA Cup.
So the Jose one is the only one that you've won in your history?
Yeah, because we won the Cup Winners' Cup, which was the so say you won the FA Cup and you came second in the league, teams would always opt to go into the Cup Winners' Cup. It was the bigger tournament. So it was always the bigger tournament. You would go,
fair enough.
Yeah. You'd rather go into the Cup Winners. That was my memory serves me right. I just remember listening to the adults.
Isn't that what Spurs fans say though? That's why Spurs fans say they have 2 Europa Leagues because they won the Cup Winners' Cup.
Oh, they're wrong. They're not the same talk. The Cup Winners' Cup was never replaced. The Europa League used to be the UEFA Cup. The UEFA Cup is what used to be the Intercity Fairs Cup. So if you've won an Intercity Fairs Cup, a UEFA Cup, or the Europa League, they are the same. They are the same. The same as there is a little bit of a distinction. The trophy.
So what's the one Ferguson won with Aberdeen then?
That's he won the. I want to say he won the Cup Winners' Cup with them as well.
When he beat Madrid.
I think it was the Cup Winners' Cup. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So obviously, like the reason why Mo asked that question, like which is better for content, it's definitely Spurs because Spurs have seen no success, Mo. Like as much as Terry's having a bad season, this guy is still seeing multiple Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, blah blah blah. Spurs have seen since 2007 one Carabao Cup. So when you're telling me, do I give the starving child or the hungry child something to eat? Of course, the starving child is better. And that's the thing with Spurs. So I do think that Spurs, and you want to know what will be the most Spurs thing ever? Spurs have beaten Man United this season on 3 different occasions. The funniest thing ever, the most Spursiest thing would be for them to reach the final and then lose to Man United in the one game that fucking counted. That would be the most Spurs thing ever.
Oh, it would be absolutely.
Did you check? Which one was it?
Oh, by the way, so I think this is because I'm just checking. I'm just checking something. Yeah, Sorry, did I check what? Sorry.
Kai, you're on the chat. Kai, you're on the chat. You're a Spurs fan. Now we won a cup winners cup in 63 and then 2 UEFA cups in 72 and 84.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, they've won multiple. They've won multiple.
So they won both. So they won all 2.
Yeah,
okay,
I was just saying, any Spurs fan that thinks the UEFA Cup and the Cup Winners' Cup are the same and are not true. But I was just looking at the qualifications, because when Aberdeen qualified for the Cup Winners' Cup, they came second in the league. Rangers and Dundee came third and fourth, and they went into the UEFA Cup. So Aberdeen came second and went into the Cup Winners' Cup, which was always my understanding that it was seen as bigger, because if you won the FA Cup but came second and the UEFA Cup was bigger, why would you opt to go into the Cup Winners' Cup? If it's like imagine you win. If you won the FA Cup and that gets you in the Conference League, but you came wherever in the league to get in the Europa League, nobody would give up the Europa League for the Conference League.
Or the
that
conference.
Was always, so that's why I was always my understanding is that people would give up UEFA Cup to be in the Cup Winners' Cup, because it was seen. This is how European football's changed, because it was seen as a competition that you had to be in by winning something, where the UEFA Cup was always something that you got into by being a runner-up. So it always had more prestige to it, as far as I was aware. Now, again, there might be older football people than me and historians that will say that's wrong. I'm only going anecdotally with what, my dad, my uncles, people around me said. And it always made sense, because people would give up the UEFA Cup to be in the Cup Winners' Cup. So that was always my
unpopular opinion. If United win Europa and Arsenal don't win Champions League, Gyokeres chooses United.
That could happen. And for me, that's the thing about the Gyokeres deal. Arsenal are the favourites as things stand right now, because United aren't the favourites to even win the Europa League. But I think Man United with Champions League football will have a really good chance with him. And you guys asked me about 6 months ago, why would he pick Man United? And I honestly put it down to, I think there's a really good chance he would pick us due to his relationship with the manager. I think.
I agree with that, by the way.
That holds water. It's one of those things where there's talk that Alonso's already in the ear of a few of the Leverkusen players saying, I need to bring you with me to Real Madrid as an example. Real Madrid, by the way, have more pull than Man United right now, but it wouldn't shock people if City and Bayern that are chasing Wirtz suddenly come second and third place to Real Madrid. But a big pull for that could be that he's moving with them. So, yeah, look, for me, I think the Gyokeres deal could ride on something along those lines. A few people in the comments I want to address. Terry, you said that last summer. I didn't say if we made Champions League football that we would be able to spend more money, because we were nowhere. That couldn't have happened this time last year, because we were nowhere near Champions League places, were we? As far as I remember. Where did we come in the league? Is it 8th? So I don't know why in basically May last year, when we were coming 8th, I would have been sitting there saying, if we have Champions League football, we can spend more money. But it's an absolute fact that extra £100 million, Lawrence, will enable Man United to spend more money this summer. If you think that's wrong, you need to give me an argument, because I definitely didn't say it last year, because we weren't in the race for Champions League football at this stage. So I wouldn't have been saying it, would I? I can't imagine I would have said in 8th place, I hope we make Champions League. We were already out of it. I can't have said that, surely. But the point would have been the same. Teams with Champions League football typically can spend more money with teams without it. Maybe I'm being crazy here. I don't know, Lawrence. Let me know. But yeah, that deal will be an interesting one to see where he ends up. Terry, everyone has more pull than United right now. Okay, if you listen, like I said about the Oranges, I'm not going to allow.
Guys, we like to do this reactionary shit every summer. I think I learned the harshest lesson from the Caicedo and Lavia saga. I learned so many harsh lessons in terms of transfers, because I had this mentality. Terry will tell you, we stood on the straight facts when I was by myself. We sat there and I explained to Terry every single Friday how, because Liverpool have Jurgen Klopp and we've got Champions League football, we're more attractive than Club X and more attractive than Club Y. There's a lot of things that come into why a club is more attractive. The manager they have, the players that they have, where they are currently right now, are they headed somewhere? The vision of the ownership group. Like, there are so many things. And by the way, what usurps all of this is money. Can we stop acting like footballers? By the way, let's just establish something. Asu Koto, who is a left back at Tottenham Hotspur, said he doesn't even watch football. Ben White, who's one of the best right backs in the league, says he doesn't even like to watch football. Some footballers treat this as a job. Some footballers want to milk the shit out of it. By the way, prime example, Oscar. Oscar was one of the best 10s, one of the best midfielders in the Premier League, decided in the prime of his career to go to China just so he can get money. Can we stop acting like these footballers just are not human?
It's
like,
become.
I work for Terry right now. Like on straight facts. If someone offers me like 10 times the money to go work on somewhere else, it's different. Guys, we're human. Money matters in life.
And I would say that Husam would be a mug to turn it down if I couldn't match it. The only time I'd say it was weird is if he went to a channel that isn't as good.
Less.
It isn't as good and it was free. Then I'd be like, actually, I'm quite glad to get rid of a crazy person.
Yeah,
if I'm being
I know
honest
some
with you.
people who do that.
Can I have an unpopular opinion about this? Paying more money doesn't mean your club is more attractive. Doesn't mean more.
Okay, but I think Gyokeres will go to United because of Amarim.
So
I'm sorry. Like I can't sit here and advertise this. It's more poor.
But let me challenge you on that. But maybe we agree. But maybe we agree. So I agree with you. If we say to Gyokeres, do you want to come to Man United? He says no. We say we'll pay you 200 grand a week. He says no. 250 a week. It's the same as Arsenal. It's no. 275. Oh, okay. I'll come for that. I think that's different because what you can afford to pay someone is part of the attraction. So that's where I think paying extra money is.
Can I challenge you on that point before you go on?
Let me make my other point.
Before I forget.
You might not want to challenge me when you hear the next point. You may still want to. Where I agree with you is if we go, there's 275, we can beat Arsenal. No, I just want to play for Arsenal. There's 500 grand a week. Okay, yeah, I'll come. I think that if you have to pay somebody an extreme amount of money over their market value, that's when you're moving into a problem area, like we did with Alexis Sanchez as a case in point.
Lenny Euro.
Well, I don't know, but we're not paying Lenny Euro an extreme amount of money.
You paid triple what Madrid offered. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but we're not paying him massively above the market value for a top young centre back.
Madrid didn't offer him that. Madrid told him we're not going that route, but Madrid told him it's either you come with our terms or you don't. Man United said,
example being this: what's Gyokeres worth a week? What is Gyokeres worth a week, in your opinion?
For me, 250.
Okay,
to 3.
So if Arsenal offer him 100,000 a week and we offer him 250, right? We've offered 1.5 times the size of the salary.
He's going United.
That doesn't mean we're overpaying him. Do you see my point? So you can offer 2 or 3 times more than a competitor, but that doesn't mean you're paying exorbitant amounts of money above market value. I think there's a distinction there.
I hear your point here. Yes. Now I understand you.
Decay here. I mean, this is always an interesting take from Decay. He says that United isn't even sure they'll stick with Gyokeres. Why would he sign a 5-year deal with Amarim? Might not even be here after next season. I mean, there's 0 signs at the moment that the club are not looking to stick with Amarim.
And that is the great comment, Dakai, because I think what we should be discussing here is he committing career suicide instead of going to Arsenal to go for Man United for the 25k extra a week. We are fans. This is our opinion. That's what we should be discussing. Like, forget Man United more attractive than Arsenal. If Gyokeres choose United over Arsenal, is that the wrong decision for him? Remove your fandom hat and tell me, is that right or wrong?
So just let me just respond to Decay for a minute. That's a fair comment. People saying, I think he's better off going to Arsenal. I can accept that. Arsenal are in a better position than we are. The problem is with this comment here from Decay, it is shrouded in non-facts. So there is no indication that United aren't sure whether they'd stick with Gyokeres, okay? And there is no sign right now that the club is going to sack Ruben Amorim. So the problem is you could apply that logic to anybody. Why would Isak go to Liverpool? Because if Liverpool have a terrible season, they might sack Slot. It's less likely because they're in a better position, but you could literally apply that comment to You're a Chelsea fan. That means I want to now see you apply that logic to every Chelsea player you're linked to, a club, by the way, that sacks 5 managers in 3 years. The problem with it is that
Gyokeres is on 46 grand a week. I just checked, by the way.
Well, there we go.
46 grand a week. Are you mad?
So I think your point, Mo, holds water. Serious holds water. The idea, though, that no one should go to United because the manager might not be there in 6 months, in a year, or whatever it may be. That logic dictates that most clubs that are not currently winning their league title or challenging, including his club Chelsea, shouldn't be able to sign any players. It's, again, in the reality of the world, it doesn't make sense. Let's go to some more super chats here. Mo, this is a choke job. Okay, we'll come back to that in a minute. We'll come back to I like to keep these shows compartmentalized because otherwise it becomes a mess. Okay, we'll come back to that one too. They're all about later, to be fair. But this from Patrick says, big up Tell, Husam and Mo, my favorite show of the week. Hope you guys
I appreciate you, Patrick.
good.
Thank you so much. You always show us love. Big up to the Irish people.
Good.
But fuck the Irish government, because now they want me to file for taxes as well.
Why?
I filed for taxes for the US government because they take a lot of my money. Now I've got to tax for the Irish government. I'm like, go hold that. I'm not gonna do it.
No, you don't have to.
You don't know that,
hang on. No. I don't know about your countries. So the UK has. I fill a form in so that I don't pay the US or the Irish tax. Your country probably has a treaty.
I don't have that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's your country's fault. Then blame your country. Don't blame your
No, I don't. I know that with the US. With the US, that's the law because of their like outgoing tax.
Hang on, no, you're not listening.
Now Ireland want to do that.
You're not listening. Yes, no, you're not listening. Your country likely has a treaty with America and Ireland. 95% of countries that allow you to upload on YouTube. You fill a form in, and you get the 30% back, or you get it all back.
I the form in.
You got it back then.
No, I did not get it back. How do I get it back?
You fill the wrong form in. That's why you don't, unless you live in America, you don't have to pay tax for being a YouTuber. Unless you live in Ireland, your country will have a treaty with those nations so where you don't have to pay income tax unless you're living there and working.
Yeah, but Jordan doesn't have a US tax treaty.
No, maybe maybe I didn't know England did until I found out.
No, England definitely did.
I bet you've got a treaty. Or you could just say that you live in the UK and fill it in. I'm never gonna fucking.
There you go, literally, directly. First thing, unfortunately, the United States does not have a tax treaty with Jordan. I knew.
That's your government's fault. Don't blame America for your country's fault. So you lose 30% of your YouTube income to America.
From Americans, yep.
Bro, you got to move.
If an American sends me $100, I get $49, basically.
No, you don't, because YouTube takes 45% of it before anything else. So YouTube takes 45% of all super chats. Then you're getting taxed 30% on what's remaining.
Yeah, 30% on that. So
that's you lose 45, so you're left with 55, and then you're losing 30%. So you're getting, damn.
That's only the money he's making from America.
Yeah. Yes, only from America. Yes.
Big up the British people saving the channel.
Actually, I'm not too sure because when I was getting my thing done, they were just taking 30% of our income. It was 30% flat. So yeah, maybe it's different. Yeah, but you need to move country, bruv. That's a madness. You need to move to a country with that. For your job, you need to move to a country with that treaty, bruv. That's a huge 30%. Do you pay tax in Jordan? Do you guys pay tax like we do?
No, I do not.
Okay.
No,
is it okay, cool. Maybe not so bad then. Maybe not so bad. Are you sure oh, that's crazy.
We pay tax on different things, but not income.
Sam got trumped. Yeah, it's nothing to do with Trump. It's been in for years.
Can I just state something? Jordan has an income tax. There's a bracket for the income tax.
And
I'm not an employee of the Jordanian government.
Exactly. So officially, okay, we'll talk about this offline.
Yeah. You're gonna end up getting yourself in trouble.
No, but I'm not an employee. I'm a freelancer.
Yeah, we'll talk about it offline.
Yeah, we're talking offline. Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
How much tax evading?
Can I shush? Can I ask you a question? Was Jordan part of the British Empire?
Yeah.
You're in trouble, mate. You're in trouble because most things get adopted. I'm just saying. Oh no. Wow. Anyway, KJ, can you cut that all out?
Cut that out, KJ.
Sam going to the gulag.
Cut that out, KJ. I'm not trying to go to prison, brother.
Honestly, I have such a great accountant because I'd be terrible at that stuff. My accountants just do. My bookkeeper and accountant Sam does everything.
That's Sam.
Yes, she's away at the moment on a little retreat. She does a lot of hard work though. Does our Sam. All right, this is another super chat here. So Madrid always undervalue players. They're freeloaders. There's truth in that. There's truth.
Madrid undervalued who? Who's he referring to here?
I think I don't quite know. I think he's just having a dig. I think he's just having a dig at Madrid, if I'm being honest.
Fuck Madrid.
Plead the fifth now. Yeah, you do realize, Marcy, that it's only one country in the world that can plead the fifth. The rest of us don't have that luxury.
Yes.
Try doing that in Jordan. I think there's no chance.
No
disrespect, but I don't think you got any chance at all. moving on from the Man United situation, you all think Spurs are going through. Big game
There's
tonight.
one more about United. The DJ
Go on.
super chat is hilarious. The DJ, can you please read DJ's super chat?
Mo on Helawa, you slammed United, called them and fans who are being positive after a 1-1 draw with Bournemouth and being 14th cooked. Will you say the same to Terry?
But I never said that, DJ. Some can attest to this. I said that Højlund celebrating for himself. Didn't I say that Højlund celebrating for himself?
Look at you just
not reading the room.
Terry. Why can't you say it to his face? You know how many arguments I've had with Terry?
But I never said this, bro. But I never said what DJ said.
No, but you said it. You said because Højlund celebrated like they won the
exactly.
World Cup.
See, exactly. You, DJ, you changed what I said because I said that look where this club is at. Højlund celebrating is actually a shame for the club that is called Manchester United, for him celebrating for himself after getting a draw against a 1-1 Bournemouth. He shouldn't be allowed to celebrate. The club, someone from the PR team should tell him, read the room. You're not in a good place. Don't celebrate. Don't take personal glory. Think about the team. I think that is not good enough. I don't understand what people are. Really, like, it's very strange. I never said that. Man United fans, I said that Man United in the mud. The fans can celebrate what they want. It's up to them. But Højlund, for me, he shouldn't celebrate it for himself. I still stand by it.
On that, right? I understand where you're coming from. At the same time, I think we're getting a little bit too harsh on football players. And what I mean by that is, say United were third, had a brilliant season, but Højlund had been on a bad goal drought in the lead up to a semi-final when he scored in a draw and he posted that. I think everybody would leave him alone. I also feel that we moan that footballers are disconnected from fans and they don't tell us how they're feeling. I kind of get when they do the apologies week after week after week, it becomes a little bit tiresome. But I actually didn't mind what he did. He literally sort of said, I know, he basically, the way I read it is, I know today is not the result we wanted, but I really needed that. It was like a message to everybody that he knows that he has to do more for the club. That's how I interpreted it, if that makes sense. So I get your point, but I actually thought it was quite a nice message to the fans. It was almost him saying, maybe it would go down better if he used these words, but I read it as, I know I've been doing shit and I know we're not where we're meant to be, but I needed that and I'm going to try and do more. But
can I tell you the difference? Mitoma, West Ham, Brighton. West Ham were leading the game. Mitoma equalized in minute 90 or minute 80 something. Mitoma, nobody celebrated from Brighton. They went to grab the ball, to go, trying to grab the win. That is Brighton. With all due respect, Brighton are not as big as Man United. So they wouldn't. That tells me that they wouldn't celebrate the draw, even though, by the way, they were down 2-0, if I'm not mistaken. They were down 2-0, and they came back to 2-2. That's what I mean. The mentality of the player at Brighton.
But he celebrated for a split second. Somebody else was already grabbing the ball, and he looked for it. He went, yes, like that. And then he runs straight back. It's like Manu got called out for that in the Europa League. And Manu's goal, I think, again, you have to apply more context and the relief because we were out and then suddenly we were back in it. He runs to the corner flag, but you've actually watched, I've seen he runs to the corner flag and celebrates and then runs straight back to where he's meant to be. His celebration lasted about 6 to 7 seconds. I do think, again, we're becoming a little bit obsessed with how long people kind of celebrate. Like, I get not taking a minute to celebrate an equalizing goal in that regard, but someone who's been under that amount of pressure, let's not compare the pressure that Mitoma's been under by the media, by rivals, by his own fans for however long his goal drought's been on. You can't compare it to Rasmus Højlund's. They're still human beings at the end of the day. And I think that, again, if you'd have run to the corner flag, done all this, been there for a minute, I'd have been annoyed. But screaming yes and clenching his fists for 3 or 4 seconds, I don't personally have an issue with it at all, any player doing it. But I hear where you're coming from. Bilow's come back to us about Real Madrid here. He said that Madrid spent 35 million on Modric. I've got to stop you straight away, though. Okay, straight away. Anthony Kroos. You're talking about 12 to 15 years ago, these deals happening. The money in football is increased massively. But Casemiro, 6 million. Where are they buying from? How young was he? Varane, 10 million.
Casemiro was at Porto.
Yeah,
or Brazil, and they loaned him to Porto. So
Vinicius,
by the way, none of these players that were superstar. Can we just establish that?
And by the way, if Vinicius was the player he is, but they were buying him from a European club, now he'd be a lot more than 45 million euros. So Yeah, you've been a
Modric was at Spurs, with all due respect to Spurs. Modric was good, but he wasn't a superstar.
I don't get
Toni Kroos was good.
Still.
Toni Kroos was good.
Madrid make very smart signings. Okay. What's the point here? I don't get it.
I wish I could sign that.
Undervalued signings.
I wish I could sign that kind of quality for that kind of money. It'd be amazing.
For that money, are you mad? Everyone would take like literally all three of us would take this type of players at our club for this much money.
Where you say I would consider undervaluing a player is if they had a chance to sign, because they're linked to McAllister today. They're saying McAllister's up for moving, but it's £90 million deal, and they're only willing to offer 40 million, and they're only offering the player £100,000 a week. Well, they're never going to get it done because they're never going to force. They're never going to force the player they're never going to turn the player's head. They're not going to make him force a move. Liverpool were never going to accept it. But where are the examples of them massively underbidding?
This is not undervalue. This is smart business. What you've just shared with us.
Yeah. By the way, if they manage to convince McAllister to come and they force a deal through for 45 million, that's genius.
That's not undervaluing either.
Genius. Genius. I'd love him to go though, McAllister. He can fuck off. We've got to see some pain at Liverpool this summer. We thought we were going to get it with all the players leaving. Everyone's fucking staying now.
Even Trent might stay.
You have praised FSG for what they've done, right? You said they've done a brilliant job, right? No? You haven't praised the people that have made this season happen. You do realize FSG. You do realize FSG are the biggest reason you won the league this year because of their bringing back
recruitment.
And their recruitment and their appointment of the right manager. Like FSG are the biggest heroes at Liverpool this season. Biggest heroes by far.
No problem. If you win the Europa League, I'm going to make you praise the Glazers.
They're not running the football operation at the club anymore.
The FSG don't run the football operations either.
Yes, they do.
No, they do not. No,
yes,
they do not.
Who runs?
They're not involved in football operations at all.
Who runs?
The guy was on the ground with Edwards and Richard Hughes on the ground after he won the
owner.
Hang on. Who runs? Who runs the football operation?
Michael Edwards. That's why he was brought back.
Who employed him?
No, but you're talking about the food chain, not the person.
No. Because Ineos now they run the football operation.
It's different.
They brought no. Because oh god. Okay.
Edwards doesn't own a share at Liverpool.
So, no, that's not the point. Sir Jim doesn't run the club day to day. Wilcox and Barada do, but it was Ineos that brought those guys in to run the club. So yes, you're right. If we yield success at Man United, Ineos will be given credit for it. Yes, the same as you need to give SFG credit because all the good things at your club still come from them.
No, I'm not giving FSG credit. I'm giving the credit to the people that deserve credit. Like I'm
going to ask a question. I'm going to ask you guys both.
Because they did it in spite of FSG, not because.
No. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a simple question.
Signed Chiesa this summer. Why should I give them credit?
If what's his name? The guy that runs your club now, Terry, the owner. What's his name? Jim Ratcliffe. If Ratcliffe and the guys around him want to sign a player, the Glazers can't stop him, right? Because they have full control. If Richard Hughes and whatever the other guy's name want to sign a player, FSG tell them no, can they do it?
Yeah, that's why it's different.
That is the whole point, is that they still run the club. They still are the decision maker. No. They are still the decision makers. At Man United, they are not the decision makers. The Glazers aren't decision makers.
Yeah, I know that. I never did not.
That's Terry's point. That is the point. FSG are still the decisions maker. FSG, the guy still sit with them to make financial decisions and make decisions, right? Yes. At Man United, the Glazers don't sit with Ratcliffe and Amar Barada and these guys. But that's the whole point.
No, my point is we won the league in spite of FSG, not because of FSG. The ones that deserve credit is Arne Slot and the players. That's who deserves credit. Because FSG did not give...
Okay. Can I ask you a question?
Give Arne Slot the weapons
can I ask you a question though? Yes, do you think had they not re-employed Edwards and had you employed a different manager, do you think this season could have gone differently?
Wow, what a question there. Had they employed a different manager, could the season have gone differently?
Do you think we've okay? Let's answer it in a different way. Who was making all the key football decisions above Klopp's head until Edwards came back when you were complaining? Who was making those decisions?
Klopp himself.
But no, who was above Klopp's head though? Who did Klopp report into?
No, Klopp had the power. Klopp was the one making the decision.
So there was no sporting director.
No, the sporting directors were there, but the ones that making the decision was Klopp. Like Klopp became the sporting director.
Okay, but who was the sporting directors?
We had different ones: Schmatka, Julian Ward.
So had FSG decided Klopp's going, we're going to give the power to these guys, not bring back Edwards, do you think this season would have gone as good as it has done for you? Just an honest question.
It could have went better, could have went worse. I don't know. How are you asking me such a blanket question? I don't know.
Well, I think it's a fair question because I look
at
it.
It's not a fair question because maybe we hire, as an example, let's say we hired Luis Enrique. Let's say we had someone like that. We won the Champions League and the Prem. Let's say
what did you think is going to happen? What did you think would have happened?
Because he knows as soon as I'm
Habibi, what did you think was going to happen? You're wrong. You're deflecting, bro. You're deflecting.
But it's not a blanket.
When you're done barking, let me speak.
But it's not a blanket question. In
the
sense,
I don't bark. You're rattled for no reason. You're rattled for no reason. You're not asking the question.
Terry's question
is very strange. I don't bark.
Learn how to listen. Learn how to listen, both of you. Terry's question is, if they hired a different manager, would the season could have gone different? The answer to that question is obviously yes. It could have been more positive. Yes. It could have been more negative.
So again, but what I want you to base that on, right? So let's unpack it a little bit. Let's have a conversation.
Okay, no problem.
So I'm basing it on, for instance, I wasn't a fan of the John Myrtles. John Myrtle was okay, to be fair, but I wasn't a fan of the Richard Arnolds, the Ed Woodwards of this world, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
If we got new owners and they kept those people in charge at running the football club, my opinion is we'd still foul. Okay. So I want to know what your opinion was of the footballing hierarchy that were here before this season. And had FSG not decided to change them, do you think they would have made the right decision? Like, you must have a feeling based on your experience with them. It isn't a pie in the sky blanket question. The same as if I say to you,
I've answered both of your questions, but you chose to ignore it.
I think your answer of it could have gone good, it could have gone worse is a cop.
No. The hierarchy was flopped.
I'll tell you as to why, though. Because you still know who the characters and the people were that were in those directorship roles. And the reason why saying it could be good, it could have been bad, I think is a cop-out answer. Because if I say to you now, you're signing. If I say to you now you're signing Isak next year, you have an opinion on how good or bad Isak is. So you will give a more definitive answer towards good or bad.
But you're not telling me the name of the manager.
But you know the
wrong analogy.
Hang on. That isn't the question I asked. My question was the people that were in the hierarchy positions, the sporting directors. You knew who they were. You knew and understood their qualities. You saw how they operated in that time. The question was, had they been given the control instead of Edwards? So had FSG decided to give them the power to pick the new manager and run the club this season, do you think it would have been better or worse?
Okay. Number one, the hierarchy at Liverpool for the last 4 years since Edward left has been Klopp. Klopp is the hierarchy. That's why we had multiple different sporting directors, but it's whoever Klopp wanted, he got over this last 4 years. After Michael Edwards left in the first time, and it was Julian Ward, and it was Schmatka, and it was the multiple different sporting directors we had, Klopp made the decision. So if Klopp wanted the player, he would have gotten him. He had the power. The sporting directors were there to just fill a role at the football club. The problem we had with Klopp, as an example, Darwin Núñez signing. He went to the club, insisted to sign Darwin Núñez, even though the people with the stats, the guys who had the numbers and all of that, told him to not sign him. So he was the guy that had the power. Now, I don't know the truth about Julian Ward and Schmatka because, as an example, Jörg Schmatka last season did the midfield rebuild as the sporting director. Gravenberg, McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Endo. So could George Schmatka have hired someone good as Slot?
So not Klopp?
No, you're talking about the sporting director.
Yes, and I'm saying if he was in charge this year and not Edwards, do you think you would have been as good or better? It's not a hard question.
No, but that's what I'm answering right now. But you're just not listening to what I'm saying. I'm saying those sporting directors could not fulfill their roles 100% because of Klopp being there, who had the power 100%. That's why, if you notice in the summer when we hired Slot, what was the first thing that they were speaking about in press conferences? Arne Slot is not the manager, he's the head coach. Because there was a power struggle at the football club, and that's the reason why Michael Edwards left. And now, based off of that, I don't know what Schmatka, Ward, and whichever sporting director is. By the way, I'm not at all. You haven't got me at all. I'm speaking complete sense.
I'll tell you why.
Anyway, let me finish.
Finish.
Let me finish. So I don't know what they're capable of. If I were to use transfer windows as a measuring stick, Schmatka was at the club when we did the midfield rebuild. He's the guy that triggered the release clauses. He's the one that did all that. So if I were to credit him for it, which is your question, he could have been making a similar decision like let's hire Slot. As an example, Hansi Flick was available in the summer. Maybe if we get Hansi Flick, we're better. There are other managers available this summer. Maybe if we get them, we're worse.
Okay. So
the reason why the Isak analogy does not work is I know what Isak is. I don't know. You're not giving me names. You're not saying, oh, say Husam, you hired Amarim. I told you, okay, it would have been a lot longer to get.
I'm not worried really about who the manager was. The one thing you've said there where I think you've got to give FSG some credit, because they obviously fixed the big problem you mentioned. They fixed the power struggle at your club. And if you've got a power in most organizations, sports teams, schools, churches, families, corporate businesses, if you have a power struggle at the top,
how did they fix it?
FSG?
They fixed it by Klopp saying he resigned. That's
how did FSG fix the power the struggle?
They didn't fix the power struggle. Klopp just resigned.
So why did that fix it? Why?
Because Klopp had the power, which is the thing I've explained to you.
But they fixed it because if they would have just kept it as it was, they would have hired a new manager and given him the power, and the struggle would have continued, wouldn't it?
No, because the manager couldn't have had the power that Klopp had, because Klopp had to work to get that power.
So they changed it.
No, they did not change it. Klopp just resigned.
But they changed who had the power, yes or no?
No, they did not fix the power struggle. Fixing the power struggle is while Edwards was there, you sit Edwards and Klopp together and you make sure that they work together, which they were incapable of. That's why Edwards left the first time. But you don't know about it. Well, I do.
But now they fixed it. It's fixed. It's fixed, and you're winning the league again.
Klopp resigned, Terry.
Well, yeah, because he was out of energy. Brilliant decision.
Yeah, so
and well done to FSG for fixing the power struggle and for getting their club back on track. Fantastic ownership.
If Mo becomes a problem to straight facts and Mo quits tomorrow, did you fix it? No.
Hang on. If say Mo's a problem because of lateness and bad attitude, as an example, and then he quits, and then I hire someone else who is renowned for having the same issues, then I'm keeping it going. If I bring someone in who's different,
you didn't fix it
with a better. Now let me finish. If I bring someone in who's different with a better attitude, if I change the setup to ensure that problem doesn't happen again, I have still resolved it. Yes, facts.
Okay, you are gaslighting because you know you're wrong right now. You're not even answering.
It's not gaslighting. I just gave you an example.
Completely gaslighting because you know you ain't even answering the question. If Mo is the problem and he leaves.
Yes,
you did not fix the issue.
Why did no, let me explain why. Okay,
you
so
could,
Mo,
after that, hire someone better than Mo. We understand.
Sam. So this is how a part of me fixing it comes in. I'm not saying it's all FSG because they didn't make Klopp leave. Fair, but this is where I fixed it. Let's say Mo becomes an arsehole because I give him too much power, which is similar to Klopp. He got too much power. He wasn't an arsehole, but he was making bad decisions. But let's take it away from Mo being a bad guy. I give Mo too much power. He starts making bad decisions. And the show starts suffering. If Mo quits, I bring in somebody new. I don't give that new person power, and we organize better as a podcast, and the podcast improves. I have still solved the root cause of the problem, which wasn't Mo leaving. It was giving him too much power. That's me resolving the issue.
Okay, so first of all, the one who caused the issue to begin with is FSG because FSG gave Klopp the power. Second of all, when Edwards and Klopp fell off 4 years ago, they didn't fix it then. Edwards quit. They didn't fix it a year ago because Klopp just quit.
I can accept that they gave him too much power and that was a mistake because I'm not here saying that FSG... But no, not there we go. I have never said that FSG have not made mistakes. That's never come out of my mouth. Listen, viewers, Mo, by the way, is not a problem for Straight Facts. He's a really good guy. Yeah, just want to put that out there. He's a good guy. So there we go. This here says, this is an interesting one. It's a super chat, so we're going to do it, and then we're going to get on to talking a bit of Inter. Rank these players, players all time. Okay, so all time greats: Salah, KDB, Van Dijk, Aguero.
I hate this list because it's two forwards, one midfielder, and a defender. So it's so difficult. I actually hate this.
Let's just it's very, very hard. But my order off the top of my head, I'm going.
This is difficult.
KDB, Salah, Aguero, Van Dijk.
I'm going Salah, KDB, Aguero, Van Dijk.
Salah, KDB, Van Dijk, Aguero.
Oh, Aguero last, fair.
He's great. He's great, fantastic player and everything. But I think the impact that Virgil van Dijk had is not to be discounted. on this Liverpool
Guys,
team.
if you want to ask
to be
us
honest.
questions like this, please ask them all in the same position to make our life a bit easier.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's
it always
compare
helps.
John Terry to, you know, like to Cristiano Ronaldo. Like, how can I do that? It's impossible, bro.
Yeah, no, yeah. Give us your orders in the live chat. Mo, how are Inter going to get on tonight? You know, your treble dream has been destroyed by your local rivals, Milan. Scott McTominay, you know, dunked on you at the weekend, not directly, weren't playing against you, but knocked you off the top of the league. How are you going to get on against Barcelona tonight?
We have Marcus Thuram is back. He's fit. He's going to start the game. Barcelona play a high line. I believe Inter can come back from Barcelona with a win or a draw. In my opinion, our defense is very good. Yes, we don't have the energy. We didn't have the energy, but Inter are a different animal in the Champions League this season. Barcelona are strong, but Inter is very strong as well defensively. If Marcus Thuram plays, which is I think he will play, he will cause a lot of problems. I'm really intrigued, and I want Inter to win, not only because they are my team. It's because I want people that don't know a lot about football, that think that football is played one way. I want them to be humbled a little bit. You have to be humbled, that think that only football is a tiki-taka or attacking football or playing in the same way. Football has been played for many different years in different ways of playing. Jurgen Klopp, one with different way of playing. Mourinho, one with different way of playing. Zidane, one with different way of playing football. I just have... I feel sorry for the people that think that football is played one way and the Barcelona way is the right way. What proves my point is that Barcelona has not been good since Messi left Barcelona, to be honest. You have been okay. You haven't been as good as before, which shows that Messi was the guy that made a lot of Barcelona fans. And you guys think that football is played that way. I've said many times that Inter are very strong defensively, and I think Barcelona play a high line. Today, we'll show the level. We'll see the levels of the real Lamine Yamal against the defense. Rafinha, Pedri is a great player. I love Pedri. I think Lamine Yamal is great, but I genuinely think that even if Inter lose, it will be a 2-1. But I believe that actually we can come back with a win. I actually think that Inter will win today at Barcelona. We will win with a 1-goal margin. At worst, we're gonna come back with a draw. That is my opinion. Lewandowski is not playing, as people are saying. But I want Inter to reach the final. For the people to be humble. He's injured. But Thuram recovered.
Are you 100%?
Yes, he's out. It's gonna be Ferran Torres or Dani Olmo. Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres is gonna play. But we have Pavard injured as well, so we don't have a right center back. Bisic has to play, but Bisic is good.
Oh wow, like Bisic is a bad player.
He has been bad. The people that disrespect Inter just don't know. Just remember a couple of times. You just remember 2010, and just when people cried and you turned on the sprinklers in the time, and Victor Valdez was crying, "Don't talk to our fans like this." Barcelona always cry. You always cry. People always cry for Barcelona, of course. Messi fans. You're not Barcelona fan. You're actually a Messi fan more than the club. Of course, we'll see. But I think we'll actually win. Do you think Thuram is back? Do you think that Inter can win? I think
Kevin De Bruyne is better than Xavi.
Yeah, I think Kevin De Bruyne is a better player than Xavi, of course.
He thinks Lampard is better than Xavi, chat.
Yes, as well.
And Gerrard is better than Xavi.
Yes. Who else? Keep going. Pirlo is levels above Xavi. It's like two levels.
Sometimes, and I told Mo this 3 weeks ago. They were showing the replay on TV of. Remember the game when you lost 2-0, but you still went through? When you lost 1-0, sorry, PK.
1-0, yeah.
I remember Busquets diving after Mota and then doing this, looking at the camera. And then I understand why Mo hates Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, it's not only that, it's a disgrace. You remember the 2009 semi-final against Chelsea? It's a disgrace, bro. It's always been a disgrace. It's always been a disgrace.
You really think you're going to win at the Camp Nou?
The word UEFA didn't come from nothing, right? That word didn't come from nothing. It came from, there is a reason for it, right? The people that say UEFA, there is a reason for it. The favoritism, wanting the good brand of football, and Messi, the good kid, to win Champions League and win Ballon d'Ors and all the stuff. You know, it has been. By the way, I'm not saying that Real Madrid don't get any favors. Remember the Bayern Munich game where Real Madrid scored 2 offside goals and Arturo Vidal got a shit red card. So the Spanish teams always get favors, to be honest. But Barcelona has always. I'm gonna tell you something, Husam, to be honest with you. Do you know that this, what is it called, legacy that Barcelona built since 2009 until 2015 when they won a treble? I want you to imagine a world. What are you laughing? I want you to imagine
what you're gonna say.
I want you to imagine a world. I want you to imagine a world
where Chelsea got the penalty.
Where it was fair. Football was fair. And Pep Guardiola didn't win the Champions League. I want you to imagine that it was fair. The world was fair. And the penalties were called. And Chelsea played Man United again in the semi-final. I want you just to live in a dream and imagine that Barcelona never won the Champions League. They never won the treble that season, which was, it's fairly one of the biggest scams in the world of football. And we all know this, right? Imagine what would happen. Inter go to win it the year after, right? In 2011, I think the Barcelona won it again, or it was Bayern Munich.
Yeah,
no,
Barcelona won Man United again.
And then Bayern Munich and then Chelsea
sat there and did this.
So I want to imagine.
I just want to let you know, Paul Scholes is the most overrated player in football history. This guy never won Man United Player of the Year, was never selected for anything individually. Mo, tell them about Scholes' individual page.
No, but forget.
We'll carry on. Just tell them how your reaction was. Just tell them your reaction for 10 seconds. قبل ما يجي, tell them before he's here.
Anyway, so Husam, after the last couple of weeks show, asked me, can you please go to Wikipedia, just Google Paul Scholes. So I Google Paul Scholes and I open the Wikipedia page and I go to honors. And the majority of the honors are like club honors. And I go down to the honors of the individual honors. I'm like, what is this? Where are the players of the seasons? Where are the individual awards? You know what I mean? Where are the individual awards?
I told them, bro. I told them.
Like, where are they? Bro.
Yeah. And the fake quotes, I told them about the fake quotes as well. Told you, made up legacy. Just made up.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't
know.
Bro,
but I want you for Barcelona. I know I'm going to tell you something.
Hey, Abdi has already knows. Jimmy Murphy, Young Player of the Year.
I'm gonna tell you, bro.
Second Ballon d'Or. And you know, World 11, one guy, Jimmy Murphy, Young Player there. Oh, he's better because of insert fake quote. That's literally what they did. Anyway, I think guys,
the people that
win the Champions League. I think you're gonna win the Champions League.
We'll see. I hope so. You know,
I think you're gonna. Unless
Sam.
What?
I want you now to guess the club that I'm gonna banter the most if I win Champions League this season.
The club that you'll banter the most?
That I will talk shit to the most.
Oh, that's
Wallahi,
easy.
this is a very tough question. And you won't get it.
You have more than them?
No, we already have more than them. We have a triple, they don't. We have more than them.
Wait. So you have a club. You have 3 Champions Leagues.
There is a club.
You have 3 or 2?
3. We have 3 and a triple. There is a club that keep talking. And there is a club that we will surpass in trophies and we have same league titles as them. No.
Man United, yes! Man United! Vámonos! Yes,
20 league titles. A treble. 3 Champions Leagues.
What fan base? No. Hang on, I'll be blunt with you. What Man United fans call out Inter? Because I never see that anywhere, not in my
No, it's not about the fans. You don't know, that's a personal thing.
Okay.
During the 2000s, when Man United, in Egypt, there was no YouTube and there's no social media. In Egypt, the amount of bandwagon fans in Egypt between the years of 2006 and 2009, when you won the Champions League and Ronaldo, is just annoying that they were Ronaldo fans. Some of them went to be a Real Madrid fan after this when he went to Real Madrid.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Anyone who does that, their opinions are sort of void.
That happens a lot, bro.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them that went to be Man City fans when Pep went to.
Listen, I'll be honest, I know he's a good friend of the show, but I still have my major suspicions over anyone who's not from the UK and is in their mid-30s or older who supports City. I truly believe there's a big chance they switch teams at some point in their life. Just especially if they're not from the UK is a little different.
No, but to be honest with you, I'm going to tell you, for Americans, it's different because I know a lot of my American friends, they are in their 20s and 30s. They got into football in the 2010s because it wasn't shown that much in America. And some of them, for example, some of them chose Spurs. Can you imagine that?
But Mo, then that's fine, but admit that. And what I mean by, I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody discovering football at 30 and going, I'm picking a team. And it's always likely you pick. There's a reason why a lot of Liverpool fans are my age and older that are not from Liverpool. And it's because Liverpool were brilliant in the 70s and the 80s, right? And then United started picking up. We already had a massive fan base, but started picking up a bigger fan base. You know, Arsenal, there was never anyone that was an Arsenal fan outside of London. Now all over the UK, there are Arsenal fans because they watch that brilliant Wenger football. So there's nothing wrong per se. I don't think you have to be from where a club is from. I'm not saying that. If football only starts getting shown in your region of the world when you're 30 and you fall in love with City because of how Pep plays football, I think it's okay to say that and people accept it. It's when someone's 38, I've supported them since I was 5, and you know they're lying. It's like, you don't need to lie. You just tell everyone the truth. No one's going to call you out for it. It's you pick who you want to pick. But I know there are people that change clubs. I've got a friend of mine. I say a friend, I don't really know much anymore. When I moved to Manchester, and you never forget the day you moved to somewhere completely new. Moved to Manchester, and Man United were playing Newcastle. And he's like, I got tickets for the game. We went and watched. It was the next day. It was on the Sunday. I moved up on the Saturday. Went to watch Man United Newcastle. And I remember it because it was such a mad 2 days of my life. That lad now bowls around Manchester with City shirts on, saying he's always been a City fan. 100%.
I know someone.
Jay, I'm watching you, bro. You know, Jay, if you're watching, you know he literally switched about 7 years ago. I know he did. He tells me now. He tells me now. No, you're lying, bro. I'm like, you took me to United. I knew you supported. Yeah. I know.
I know someone who legitimately supported Man United, went to support Madrid when Ronaldo moved there. I know someone who used to support Man United and changed to Manchester City as soon as the Sheikh bought them. I know, bro. I know. That's why when I say this glory hunter plastic stuff, I know what I'm talking about, chat. I'm making shit up.
Yeah.
Vader will never convince me he supported City growing up. I'm going to call names. Hamza will never convince me he supported City growing up. I'm sorry. These two, they can swear on the Quran and on the Bible, and I would not believe them. Like, just stop.
I mean, it's just show us. I think when a team goes through bad times, that is when you see someone's true love for a club or their reasons for supporting them. And I think it's similarly, you get this in relationships. Some people get together, they say they're in love, but if something really bad happens, you know, the man loses his job for 40 years old and the woman leaves, or one of them gets sick and the other one runs away quite quickly, proves it isn't true love, right? Because there's a condition to it. I think there are supporters that support Tottenham. Sorry, not Tottenham. You'll know why when I get to the end. There are people that picked City, that picked Man United, that picked Liverpool, that pick them in their pomp, pick them in their glory. And when things go wrong, City haven't gone to the other end of that yet because they're only been in their pomp now. But it's when it goes wrong. And I've seen United fans, I've heard them on podcasts, mainly Spaces though. And you must remember this, Husam, listening to these people that would talk about never really a fan of Fergie's football, didn't like any of the class of 92, don't like any of the legends like Ronaldo and Rooney, thought they were mid. That's the modern day language for it. Hate anyone who talks about United's DNA or the youth academy. And I sort of sit there and I'm like, but you're 29 or you're 30. I'm like, then what did you fall in love with? Well, the only thing it could have been is that they were the best team at the time and you wanted them as a badge of honor and a flex. And I don't consider anyone. So that's what you said earlier about like people can pick things whenever they want and do what they want. And I know a lot of Americans now, like I know some Americans, I was watching a Premier League show and they're out in America at one of these kind of hubs where they go to it like a big thing for the day. And there was people there and there was literally a Newcastle jacket on with a Wolverhampton Wanderers hat. And part of me is like, no, that they need to be educated on it because I think there are traditions There are things that then you're not allowed to just do, not just because you're from England. And what I mean by that is, I'm sure there's certain things culturally about basketball, about American football, about hockey, that you kind of have to follow even as an international fan. The rivals of a certain club, things you can do before and after games, things that are
if you become a Lakers fan, you play the Celtics. It's easy.
Yeah. And I just think there's this element of like, I think I know there are unwritten rules, but there's some weird stuff that goes on in football now. But I question anyone who doesn't like anything about their club's history. I question why they supported them in the first place. And you may see this with City fans, and we're in the social media world now, so there's no hiding. If City get found guilty and they get properly relegated and kicked out, and say it goes really wrong for them, I'm intrigued to see some, not all, because we know Big Steve's a real fan. We know Daps is a real fan. We know LB is a real fan. We know Nobbins is a real fan. But I'm intrigued to see some of these City fans in 5-6 years' time, what they're doing, who they support, what they're up to.
If City go to the shits, I'd love it.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued to see what, because I don't know. I don't know whether or not, because I think some, by the way, I don't even think some people pick teams anymore based on who they like watching football. I think some people pick teams based on who can I make content about. I think that's a new thing that inspires people to pick certain sides. I really, really do. So yeah, be interesting.
Oh, Terry, you don't even know what I know, brother.
What?
I know someone that supported a completely different club that is now doing content about a completely different club. I'm not going to mention any names. I'm not going to say anyone. Don't get people in trouble. But I know for a fact that he told me that personally. But yeah.
Again, I just wouldn't be surprised, and you often hear it in the analysis, and it's not ever articulated that well. But you'll hear proper diehards, lifelong fans of those same clubs, and they'll just—it's almost, you must hear this about your own clubs, when people say things, and you're like, no Man United fan ever has ever thought like that, because there is an element of a hive mind about all of us to a certain degree. There are certain, like, if you're a Man United fan and you don't appreciate and love the academy, something's gone wrong. It's like being a lion that's a fucking vegetarian. Something's wrong here. Something's wrong here. Like there's a reason you fall in love.
You know what it is, Daddy? There's something you need to keep in mind. If you're watching this right now and you want to start making content, let's look as an example, Liverpool YouTube, right? Liverpool YouTube, Redman TV, the Anfield Rap, Kopish, Grizz, etc. The people who are well known within the community, right? It's a lot more difficult to break into that than it is to do City, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Forest. Essentially, I'm on 50k subs right now, alhamdulillah. If I became a City content creator, I'd be like the third biggest City fucking content creator on the app already. But when it comes to Liverpool, I'm down the list because of all the guys that.
I agree where you're coming from there, and I'm not saying that you have to be. And one thing I don't like in content, I'm getting really bored of it in content, is that banter's a great part of the game, but I feel it's getting milked. It's the same jokes after every team. It isn't even like losing an important game. 4 or 5 years ago in this space, the team would win, they'd draw, they'd win, and then they'd lose a massive game and you'd cook them a little bit. Now everyone's doing the same jokes if they draw away to a really hard game, and I'm like, oh, it's getting really fucking boring. So I don't think you need to go to that extremity. But yeah, there are definitely people that fake it. There's no doubt about it in my mind. But there we go. A few super chats here. Arsenal fans since 1979 in the FA Cup final between United and Arsenal. Do you know the score? Top of my head, no.
How would I know?
No, I don't know the score. I'm not gonna lie. Let's go and check. Arsenal FA Cup final 1979. I've got a feeling Arsenal won it. I know Arsenal won it. Wait and see. Here we go. Here's the final. Click on it. 3-2 to Arsenal. I knew Man United didn't win it. I just didn't know the score top of my head. But there we go. Mo, if Inter win the Champions League, what's the big three situation? In Italy? How can Inter surpass AC Milan? Also, is it accepted in Italy that Juve are forever the biggest?
Not really, no. The situation wouldn't change because Milan won 7 Champions Leagues and Inter would be on 4. But we have 1 league title ahead of them and a treble. But that doesn't account for 3 difference in the Champions League. So, and Juve won 35 or something big title. So that it doesn't change. Inter are still the third biggest team in Italy, not the first or the second. If we win another Champions League or win another league title, we start talking, but we bottled the triple. If we won a triple this season, yeah, we might have spoken, but my man, it doesn't change. Inter will be still the third, not the first or the second, to be honest. Juve is number one because of the number of league titles, and Milan are second, and then Inter are third, to be honest. But the difference is like between us and Milan, it's close, to be honest. The difference between us and Milan is the same between Liverpool and Manchester United. 6 Champions Leagues versus 3. United have a triple. Both now are equal league titles. We have one more league title than Milan. So it's kind of similar. So if you want to say that, it is very close. Not like Arsenal versus Liverpool or Man United, for example, where there is no Champions Leagues. There is 13 league titles only. It's just completely different. It's not as far like as in England, to be honest. It is very, very close between Inter and Milan, apart from the Champions League. Unless you consider Liverpool much bigger than Man United, which is no people think that. More successful.
On our conversation earlier about European Cup, someone actually sent me something through in a DM here. I want to read this out here. It says here the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup was designed as a secondary competition to the European Cup, which is now considered the Champions League. It was primarily for national cup winners across Europe. The UEFA Cup was introduced to provide a third level competition in addition to the Cup Winners' Cup and the the European Cup, now the Champions League.
But I want to check the Cup Winners' Cup when we were talking earlier. Spurs didn't have any. That's the thing that I'm saying.
No,
so did they win the other one? Did they win the UEFA Cup?
I swear
because the winners are, because I opened this on my phone just now. And actually,
no, they won the Cup Winners' Cup in 1963. They won it.
That's the one. But then one of Kai in the chat was saying they won 2 more.
They won 2 UEFA Cups in 1972 and 1984.
Chelsea won the Cup Winners' Cup in 71.
I'm talking about Spurs.
Yeah, Spurs won 1, which is the 63 one.
Yes, and then they won 2 UEFA Cups.
Yeah. So that's the other one. Yeah, fairs.
Yeah, okay. So it's that's what I think anyway.
That's the one that Ferguson won with Aberdeen.
Yeah, and by the way, like the Cup Winners' Cup, I mean, depends how you view it. I mean, it was created 11 years before the UEFA Cup, so there was a time where it definitely was bigger because it came out before it. But there we go. I still think they should bring it back. Honestly, I've actually loved this season's Champions League, but Europe back then was different. It was like only the champions from the leagues got into it, and I think that's why it made the Cup Winners' Cup so good. Because look at all the Champions League teams that are in it this year that didn't win their league titles last year. All those teams are in. In fairness, the UEFA Cup was still massive as well because a lot of those teams were in. Do you know what I'm saying? It was really, really good. But there we go. The off-white Milan jersey was fire. Is what Martin says here. One of the greatest FA Cup finals in history. Was that the FA Cup final? You're testing my memory here. Was that when Man United staged a comeback and then you guys won it late? Or we were leading and you staged a comeback and won it late? It was one of those 2 ways round. Was it that final? Or am I thinking about a different one? Let me know, AMT. When you guys are free, see it on YouTube. I'll go and have a little butchers, mate. I promise I will. Obviously, last night, gents, wasn't a good night for Arsenal, losing 1-0. They did get beat by the better team on the night. I think most people would agree how good PSG are as a side. What was your take on the performances, Husam? What did you make of it from Arsenal?
I think Arsenal were... I think the same thing that I said in the Liverpool PSG game, I would say for yesterday's game. I think Enrique just straight up just outcoached Arteta. I think Enrique has been the best coach. I'm talking tactically, just pure tactics before people start screaming. Since the knockout stage began, the guy who has coached his team the best has been Luis Enrique. I think tactically on the football pitch, he has masterminded Slot. He has masterminded Unai Emery and he has masterminded Arteta yesterday. I get it that Martinelli had like one chance and, Trossard had one chance. But I could say the same thing, Barcola had a chance, Goncalo Ramos had a chance, etc. Maybe had PSG been a bit more clinical, it would have been a different game. But I think Enrique has been absolutely the best coach, just strictly coach in Europe this season. I think the way that they started that game, and this is one of the debates. Me and Terry will never agree on this, and it's okay to agree to disagree. But one of the reasons why I say, the Champions League is the most difficult competition to win, the most, etc., is because of moments like yesterday. It was legit like one real error of marking, and you're 1-0 down in a semi-final. Like, it's not even a joke. Like, this whole competition, bro, one mistake and you're screwed. You're literally screwed because of one mistake. And it happened yesterday. I thought Dembele's finish was amazing, but then for the rest of the game, Dembele didn't really do much, if we're talking about the rest of the game. Desire Doué got past people, but I was getting frustrated with them because he didn't really have any end product. I thought Kvaratskhelia tore timber a new one. Listen, this is not over yet. This is not over yet. Arsenal still have a chance. And I have an announcement for the Football Terrace community. My blue blazer is right here. I'm going to be accepting bids. I'm going to be a corrupt government official. I am willing to wear the blazer and say Arsenal have a 0% chance. That's all I'm saying, guys. That's all I'm saying. I'm going to be a corrupt government official, and we will discuss proceedings later on. But I really think that Arsenal have a chance. All you have to do is just go to Paris and win 1-0 and take it to extra time. Liverpool did that, right? Now you've got your whole team fit. You ain't got no injuries. The one thing I will say, though, Terry, is, look, we can be balanced. One thing about football content that has absolutely ruined it is black and white approaches to everything. I do think certain things are black and white. If I ask you who's the best player in the league this season, it's black and white. Mo Salah, easy, no problem. But like for this Arsenal conversation, there is a gray area for the game yesterday. I understand that Thomas Partey being out is obviously not helpful to Arsenal's case. But can we not use it as the only sole excuse? Like, that's the thing that just pisses me off. Can we have objective conversations? I heard what Igal said yesterday. Igal is right. I don't think you can come up here and go like, oh, the reason why Arsenal didn't beat PSG is the mentality. Because if it's mentality, then you would have crumbled against Madrid. So don't just use the same buzzwords for everything. Like, oh, mentality this, blah, 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 this. Like, use different... There are different ways to analyze football games. Not every time Arsenal lose, it's because of mentality. No. Enrique just outcoached Slot. Guess what? Arne Slot just won me a league title, number 20. I said Enrique outcoached him, and I said Eddie Howe outcoached him. It's okay. It's okay to say stuff like this. Arsenal had chances they should have scored. PSG had chances they could have scored. I don't think Arsenal were robbed. You could say Arsenal were a bit more fortunate because of the timber penalty. Could have been 2-0 down. Some people saying it's a penalty. Me personally, same energy. I don't think the Moreno one is a penalty. I don't think the timber one is a penalty. I think both are not penalties. I think both are soft for the occasion. However, all is not lost. Because there's one thing that UEFA did that I agree with. Scrapping the away goals rule. Now, if Arsenal even win 2-1 in Paris, they're going to extra time. It's no longer, oh yeah, we scored a goal, blah, 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 and we scored a goal, blah, blah, blah. The away goals rule is now gone, which is something good for Arsenal. So I don't think it's done yet. That's all I'm saying.
There are a couple of points I wanted to touch on in this game.
My
one
water.
of them is Husam talking about mentality. The number one thing is that is the
Don't lie on my name before I go. I said it's not.
That is the difference. I disagree with that. That is the difference between a team that has two wingers that can absolutely play football, which is Desiree Doué and Kvaratskhelia yesterday, versus a team that has one winger. We saw it for Liverpool when they had only Salah. So it was easy to shut him down. Yesterday, Saka didn't have a good game. It was so easy to shut him down by doubling on him, or Nuno Mendes having a good game. Yesterday, Kvaratskhelia got the better out of Timber in the beginning, but also Desiree Doué was having a good game, right? But when it didn't work for Kvaratskhelia after like 30 minutes, he had the privilege to switch Kvaratskhelia with Desiree Doué because he knows he can trust both wingers. For Arsenal, Arteta is so rigid, and Arsenal left winger is not good enough to rely on him. So that is the difference between having players that can play multiple roles. Also yesterday, we saw João Neves, we saw Fabian Ruiz, we saw Vitinha. The three of them can drop deep and play the deep line playmaker. For Arsenal, no one can. And Odegaard was anonymous for the game. He was absolutely rubbish during this game. He completed as many passes as Bukayo Saka in this game, which is absolutely rubbish. So for me, tactically, it's not only that Arteta was out tactic. I think Luis Enrique used his tools much, much better than Mikel Arteta. The second point is that yesterday's game, after the game, I saw the agendas of people that just want to run agendas without actually analyzing football matches. Like people, for example, that blame Declan Rice for the goal, where I explained myself and I said that Declan Rice is tasked to go and cover Timber if he's isolated and Saka's not back. It was Odegaard and Moreno who were too slow and too late to come back on the transition when Dembele picked up the ball. That is why outside the area or right at the area line, it was free. That was what Martin Odegaard and Moreno. Declan Rice was right to go and cover Timber on the right side because we saw Kvaratskhelia dribble past Timber after this was these clearly instructions. So the people that were on agenda against Declan Rice, they come out and say it was Declan Rice's fault. That is just agenda driven. You don't know about the football that the defensive midfielder need to cover. Rodri does it all the time. Going and covering the fullback is something that is his duty as well. The third thing that I want to say about Arsenal is that Mikel Arteta's mentality in this game was absolutely garbage. Because we saw from the first minute, Arsenal, they were a little bit complacent. Arsenal, from the first minute, they were arrogant a little bit. The running was not there. The energy was not there. We saw Dembele, we saw Kvaratskhelia, we saw Fabian Ruiz, Desiree Doué press like without any hesitation from the minute one. They were ruthless in terms of their press. They were relentless in terms of the press. And Arsenal were so complacent. They were slow. They didn't know. It's not only tactical, it is also the mentality. Again, one of the things that me and Husam, we do a show with Jess, and Jess said that this team sometimes show character when there is no other option but winning. Against Real Madrid, everyone said that you must win to have a chance. Against PSG, everyone said, even if you get a draw, you still can go to Paris and win. Liverpool did it. You can rely on your defense. So the team go into the game knowing that a draw is an option. And it showed yesterday. Minute 1 to minute 30, Arsenal were out. Like the energy was different. The press was not there. The players were cooked. Some of the players, Timber, for the first 10 minutes, bro, he was cooked versus Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia got the better out of him, to be honest. And that is the preparation by Mikel Arteta. The mentality was wrong. Also, there is no point of doing the video before. I know that a lot of clubs do it and everything. The fans were flat. And people that were in the stadium said that the fans were flat. And Arteta prepared the team completely wrong. It's not only about the tactics. I agree with Husam. The tactics were wrong. But also you can compensate for it if you have good energy. The energy for the first 30 minutes. What was that? At your own ground. You're being outrun. You're being out-muscled. You're not winning first headers. You're not winning second ball. It was garbage by Arsenal. If they go with that mentality in the second game, it will be absolutely over. It will be over. Arsenal need to show a little bit of balls in the second game. And maybe Arteta can do it, to be honest with you. We have seen Arsenal put in a defensive masterclass. It wasn't a defensive masterclass, to be honest.
Yeah.
Martin Odegaard needs to pick up the leadership as well.
We're going to come on to Odegaard in a minute. It's a slightly separate talking point. I'm doubling down on what I said last night. Sometimes what you feel in an instant match reaction can change 24, 48 hours later by listening to other people, rewatching things. I stand by it. I think Arteta got the tactics wrong to begin with. You saw Declan Rice with the war cry of, if we don't have the ball, we die. And I think they went out the wrong way. And they went out and they pressed like maniacs. And they pressed in the right way. But I think they lacked a little bit of respect for the speed and passing ability of this PSG team. When they found Dembele in the middle, it's because Rice was following the manager's instructions to press in that way. Then they're playing catch-up. The ball goes out to Kvaratskhelia. Rice then makes another mistake. He shouldn't leave his position. I know that, again, I would love to ask the manager this question. Were the DMs or were the central midfielders told at every opportunity, come in and help the fullback with one of the wingers? If they were, then you can argue Declan Rice is just following instructions. However, Declan Rice has got to read the room because he looks over his shoulder. He sees that Dembele is by himself. No one else is there. He leaves that position. If he stays there, maybe Kvaratskhelia takes on Timber and buries it into the bottom corner and everybody says, Rice should have come in to help, right? That's a possibility. But he steps out of his position. Moreno and Odegaard don't get back and they go a goal down. Then for me, where I was disappointed as a football fan was the energy got sapped out of that ground. The fans gave up for a period of time. And I know that some people find it a little bit offensive to sort of, you can't tell other fans how to behave. I'm not telling you how to behave. I'm telling you I think it hurt your team. Arsenal couldn't get to grips with PSG. And it wasn't until, it took me back to 1999. And I remember we were 2-0 down against Juve away from home. And we were looking awful. We started that second leg in the semi-final terribly. And my brothers were giving me shit because they're Liverpool and Arsenal fans. They're all on me. And I'm sitting there like, oh, no, we're in trouble here. We're going to go out again in another semi. And Schmeichel, and actually, this is the sad, other than the Man United cassette tape I had that I got for Christmas, even when you watch the feature-length replays that TNT Sports now put out of those games, they leave maybe the most important part of the game out. There was this save from Schmeichel. And I remember my dad saying, that could spark United on here. He says sometimes all it takes is a tackle or a save or a good shot, gives you a little bit of belief. And that's what Arsenal did last night. A few good tackles went in, crowd got up, and then the second half of the first half, they created their chances, there was opportunities to score. And I think half-time came at the wrong time, if that made sense. They were knocking on the door. They started the second half really well. And then Arteta's next mistake came in. He made no substitutions, made none. And the legs went. And then after that point is where Arsenal, that's the only time in the game where I think Arsenal got lucky, was when their legs went, because they worked really hard. They could have made it 2 and 3-0 at that point. Now, I get a lot of Arsenal fans are saying, but we could have been 2-1 up. Yes, but I'm talking about in that moment, you were 1-0 down. Facts. The manager didn't make any changes, and you look leggy. And it was fortunate that it was Barcola and Ramos that went through on goal and not the other players. So Arsenal was still in this tie. And I know that Arsenal fans look at that game. And by the way, I thought Declan Rice actually had a very good game overall yesterday. I think that Lee Judges is right, that they should have made a change, maybe at halftime, maybe 60 minutes, and put Lewis Skelly straight into the midfield, brought on Timber at left back, giving that midfield some more energy. I think their front line looked a little bit discombobulated without Moreno in that role. I think he brings the other two in well. They could have made those changes. They didn't. Maybe they'll learn from that. Are they out? No. Can they win and win the tie? Yes. I've heard a few Arsenal fans say yesterday, and I kind of agreed with them at the time, and I've changed my mind now. It's going to be miraculous for us to turn it around. Overturning a 1-0 deficit in the second leg of a semi-final isn't miraculous. It's difficult, but you're not talking about being 2, 3, 4-0 down, and you've got to create one of the biggest comebacks of all time. You've just got to win the game, essentially, and you've got a great chance of going through. And Arsenal do have the capabilities to beat this PSG team. But for me, what they did from the 30th minute to about the 65th minute needs to be the whole game. Compact, hard to break down, no crazy pressing, and wait. Because what PSG did, they did it against Villa and they did it against Liverpool. But both teams, when they punished Liverpool and they punished Villa and they punished Arsenal last night, was when you get a little bit too confident, press a little too hard, and they fall in the space. If you sit and absorb a little bit and wait for them to misplace a pass, which they do, because all teams do, and then you spring onto the attack, you've got a chance. The element, though, that I was really disappointed with when it came to Arsenal, and I know there'll be a few people who say, how can you be disappointed? You're a rival. It's a good thing. I'm talking here as a football fan, not as a rival for a moment. It's the amount of Arsenal fans. And ironically, it's a lot of the guys that say the team has a bad mentality going, it's over. No point turning up. It's finished now. It's done. No point. No point.
No, it's definitely not over, guys.
It's
Even
crazy.
if you're going away. Let me just say this before I do have to go. I told Terry already. Here's the thing, bro, with this conversation. I just think you cannot give up as an Arsenal fan. I'm not even trying to be an asshole. Like, I'm actually being genuinely serious. 1-0 down is not the end of the world. Whether you're going away, whether you're playing at home, it's 1-0. No, don't do this either, Jordan, because now you're coping. Don't be in the middle. Don't cope and don't do too much. Do not give up, because it's just a 1-0. No, because you cannot say being 1-0 down is suits us and is good for us. No, you would rather be 1-0 up, of course. So what I'm saying is, listen, Arsenal can come back. 1-0 deficit is not that bad at all. I think it's 100% possible. You're going to have Thomas Partey in the second game. I don't think you should give up at all. PSG have been susceptible to goals. You even had your chances. You just need to be a lot more clinical. And Dem's right. If you don't care, there is 4,000 people who watch me weekly on the Football Terrace that care. And Terry pays me to be here. So a lot of people care. So big up to you. Thank you so much. I'm the longest lasting survivor of straight facts. You get me, one of the people from 3 years ago when I was one person on the screen. So you might not care. Big up to you, though. Big up, guys. I'm gonna go ahead after.
Yeah. Me and Mo are going to continue this. Cheers to
Yeah,
Sam. There's a comment here from Paul that says, "Nonsense, Terry. Arteta knew his team would struggle and didn't want to risk losing more goals." I mean, that's you. Then you agree with me. The team adjusted, stopped leaking the opportunities, and had its own opportunities to score. That isn't a manager panicking. That isn't a manager not being able to change his tactics. That is not a negative from Arsenal's point of view. Then this is what's crazy in your analysis here, Paul. And I know you're going to say this is glazing Arsenal, but this is just being fair. You can't start a game as bad as Arsenal did, concede a goal, nearly concede a second, barely touch the ball, and not create a goal-scoring opportunity. We can't then see a team change, create goal-scoring opportunities, and not leak chances and say, nah, that's just because Arteta knew they were struggling and he didn't want to risk losing more goals. That's quite like your analysis is almost like you're slagging them off for changing mid-game and becoming better. Where I can then criticize, where I think you're missing, and this is what's crazy about, I just think in the pursuit of trying to shit on Arsenal, you're actually missing the areas to criticize them in. Where Arteta needs criticism is making them starting off pressing like crazy in the beginning. It's why if Villa hadn't pressed like crazy in the first half of the game at Villa Park, they wouldn't have conceded those 2 goals. It's because they went for it and they left all the space in behind. It was stupid. That's the criticism for Arteta. Not making the subs early enough. That's the criticism for Arteta. How are you here, Paul, criticizing him for the one tactical change he made in the game that nearly got them back into it? I can't blame Arteta for Martinelli and Trossard missing chances. That is not on Arteta, in my personal opinion. So listen, you can call it out all you want and say it's nonsense.
There are other things on Arteta, Terry. I think there are other things on Arteta. He tried to make changes, but the subs were very late. He made a change tactically. That's why Arsenal went from 30% ball position to right away to 60 ball position. So that means the team were passing the ball more. They were passing the ball better. Positioning, they changed a little bit. By the way, the first duels, Timber lost. Second 5, Timber won. That's why Kvaratskhelia went to the right side. So there were changes that were made during the game, but I still think that Arsenal weren't good enough. Yes, right. Overall, they weren't good enough, to be honest with you.
You are right. They lost, and I'm not defending any of that. Paul actually says he's an Arsenal fan, and that's fair enough, Paul. But my point still remains exactly the same. I think you focused in on that, and maybe you as an Arsenal fan think it's a weakness. Maybe you're someone that thinks you should have a strategy at the beginning of the game and you should stick to it for 90 minutes. I personally think when your strategy starts as bad as it did, and that's the issue. I think why Timber was losing out. Listen, I'm taking nothing away from Kvaratskhelia. The reason I think that Timber was losing those battles, I actually think Arsenal came into this game too hyped up, too much adrenaline, too many histrionics, I think the word is, or whatever the word is. They came in like this when actually they needed to come in. They played the occasion and not the game. And when they settled, they were a better team and they almost scored. And I thought they played quite well. There were their mistakes after that point. Those subs, if Waneri comes on earlier, if MLS has moved into the middle, Tierney brought onto the pitch, Moreno goes up front, maybe the game ends differently. So I do think Arteta deserves, Paul, some really big criticism in this game. But as I was saying earlier before Husam left, the one thing that's annoyed me with some Arsenal fans is this giving up. They're the same people that will say this club lacks mentality, but they're the first to give up. They also claim to have the high standards, but they're the first to give up. It doesn't make sense. It's for me, just as a sports fan, I hate it. I don't like people when there is something to fight for that give up. Fuck it, it's not even sports. I don't like it in life. The giving up now, for me, is the word I like to use is puny. It's puny. Get behind your team. You don't need to speak with delusion. You don't need to speak of beating them 5-0 in Paris. You don't even have to think you're going to go through necessarily. But don't give up. And I remember saying this before the Madrid game on this exact same show with the brilliant Mo and the lovely Husam. And I just said that this idea that because everyone thinks they're going to go out, they shouldn't even bother turning up, which was a rhetoric at the time. Imagine Arsenal took the logic of those same people giving up now. Imagine Arsenal's players took that logic before the Madrid game and just didn't bother turning up because most people thought they were out. You can't do it. At the very least now, go out on your sword, put in a performance to be proud of, show that you can react in these situations. Maybe the better team wins on the night, but you can walk away. And I know that people that hate Arteta, I know Standard FC won't like this, but I don't see eye to eye to them on sport anyway. You know, you can still leave with your pride intact. Giving up now, that for me is a loser's mentality. So for any, again, that doesn't mean spend the whole week talking about roofs being closed, fucking lucky cardigans, remontadas. Don't do any of that bullshit. But just don't. But you don't have to give up on your team either. I thought it was really.
You don't have to change your opinion after one game. Like, just with all due respect to everyone. Arteta got out-tacticked by one manager. Yes.
By the way, if Arsenal,
he literally out-tacticked Ancelotti in 2 freaking games. We're not gonna just because of freaking 70 minutes. We're not gonna change our opinion on him.
If Arsenal won 1-0 last night, I also wouldn't think that you were definitely 100% through either. Like it's very similar, and I just think there's a lot of there's not an overreaction to the performance because there's areas that need to be criticized. But this whole we're out, it's done. I don't know. Like I think just give up. Let's not try. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that behavior or attitude. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
As an Arsenal fan, I am disgusted with the Arteta outers. Look, people are entitled to not want Arteta at the club and to not think that he is good enough. What I haven't seen any of this, by the way. I haven't seen any of this on my timeline. I haven't seen any of it on YouTube. If there's any Arsenal fan who's happy with losing last night because it means that Arteta might go, or more so, they were right. That strikes me as a strange way to behave. But I haven't seen a single gooner that was happy with that last night. To be fair, same scenario between Liverpool and PSG so far. Yeah, scoreline wise, yes. I mean, and if Arsenal can repeat what PSG did to Liverpool, they'll be in a final. Maybe Arsenal respected Real Madrid more than PSG. Potentially.
Yes, they did. Yes. Mentality. It's all about going to the game thinking you're superior. Some people saying we're going to smash PSG. We already won 2-0 against them. We're going to do 2-0 again. It's the same. You have to be humble a little bit about approaching these games.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, AMT. I think chasing 1-0 suits.
No, we did that.
Yeah, we all did that. Super chat. Sorry. Arsenal fans are saying Rice is better than Barella. Thoughts?
I don't think so. I think Barella has done it, has won the league, has reached a Champions League final. He's creative, he runs, and no, I think Barella is better than Declan Rice. To be honest with you, I think Barella is better than him.
The way Arsenal played in the first 30 minutes was exactly like against Everton, Brentford, and Crystal Palace. Pissed.
Not really, AMT, because you didn't have the ball. You had the ball against these teams. You didn't have the ball. Let's talk about the mentality, though.
Yeah, I thought Arsenal were actually better in those games in the beginning of the game than they were towards the end of the match, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, Arsenal were awful.
Thomas Partey missing is not the issue. It does help, though. I think it's a combination. I agreed quite a lot with the gal last night. I don't necessarily think it was mentality. It was the game approach. Partey, would they have had a better would they have played better in the midfield? There's a big chance they would have done. If the midfield had won the battles for longer in the game, they might have created more chances. So, look, it's going to be a great second leg. This year says, my dad was a Liverpool fan. I started loving football when Zimbabwe qualified for AFCON in 2004. I watched Liverpool come back in 2005, and that inspired that spirit of fight back as an underdog made me love Liverpool. I was 11. And Kenneth, they're the stories I love hearing. That for me is, and that's why the bigger clubs also create bigger fan bases from around the nation of the UK, plus abroad, is because they are on TV more and they do things on a regular basis that are special. That they do things like if Leicester had carried on if 2016 was still happening now and there was still this team, do you know how many young Leicester fans there would be? Because they've become an inspirational side and people are inspired by these things. Simple as that. Mo, did you watch the first leg of Barcelona-Chelsea 2009?
I did. The Barcelona fans run with this agenda that they were robbed. They weren't robbed. Chelsea were robbed.
Chelsea should have won that game.
Yeah.
If we give up, it's a loser mentality. But if we back our team, we're deluded and ridiculous. Do you know what,
Peter? Don't listen to people. There's a difference between delusion and backing your team, believing that you can come back. Don't lose hope. And there's a difference between the people that say we're going to go there and smash them 3-0.
Yeah.
Don't listen to the people that say Arteta out. Okay, we're done. The team is finished. Okay, not finished.
Exactly right, Peter. I look at it this way. I would switch off from a platform or a person, because Jason Cundy did it as a bit of a joke yesterday, but Jason Cundy does a whole speech about Arsenal fans giving up as a disgrace. The first caller of the night says, I think we'll beat them in Paris and go on to win it. And he went, you're going too far now. And I was sort of like, but this is the other side of it. If Arsenal do come back from this position and win the tie, I think there is an argument to say that might help them go on to win it because they've got through that adversity and that pressure. But at the same time, Peter, I think anyone who speaks to you in that way, I would just stop listening to them. Anyone who says you can't give up, you're losers. I think we might win. You're a dickhead. You're deluded. Your response should just be unsubscribe or unfollow or don't recommend this to me again on TikTok or wherever it may be. And you won't see any idiots like that, my friend. You really, really won't. You really, really won't indeed. I became an Arsenal fan on that day by chance because my brother was a Man United fan. That also happens a lot. A lot of brothers pick different teams, so there's a little bit of rivalry in the house in that way, definitely. I'll give you an example. My little brother, when he was very little, I tried to force him into being a United fan. I can't support United. And he watched them a little bit, and I remember he was really young. And he goes, I don't like how they come back. Well, what do you mean? He goes, well, don't go behind in the first place, right? He didn't like the way Man United played football and did things, and he picked another club. And I always respected that but that's how it's meant to be. You're meant to fall in love with the way a team does things. And if you fall in love with the way a club does things, I don't get why you moan about it years later. It's kind of weird to me. It's like marrying someone, then moaning about all their personal traits. That's a bit, no, you're meant to marry them because you love their traits, not marry them to change them, you know? Mo, thoughts about the game tonight? Is it a case of a draw and bring it to the second leg? Also, UEFA Cup was bigger. Many years it was stronger than the European Cup. Ballon d'Or has a great documentary on it.
We'll give it a watch then. Great. We'll give it a watch.
I'll give it a watch. I mean, someone sent me the passage from UEFA's thing. And this was what it says on UEFA's website. By 1968, all UEFA member nations had set up domestic cup competitions due to the success of the Cup Winners' Cup. UEFA regarded it as the second most prestigious competition behind the European Cup, later the Champions League, and ahead of the Intercity Fairs Cup, later the UEFA Cup. So look, but where I agree with you, Sagnik, is all three were prestigious. None of them were looked at as crap, like for some weird reason. Ever since they put all the best teams into the Champions League, the level of respect for the other two has diminished, and I'm always sad about that. If you won any of those three European competitions, they were celebrated like crazy. There was open-top bus parades. They were all massive because all the best teams in Europe were spread amongst all three tournaments. It wasn't like now where it's top-heavy in the Champions League. So I don't actually think it matters. But this is why when people say Arsenal have never won anything, they've won an Intercities Fairs Cup, which is the Europa League, and they've won a Cup Winners' Cup. And I just don't think that should be diminished. We are disrespecting, and I hear TalkSport do it all the time. I heard one guy on TalkSport, he didn't even know what the Intercities Fairs Cup was. What a disgrace from a professional. Disgrace. Listen, I want to thank every single person that's tuned in. Mo, of course, Husam's gone now, but thank you all for tuning in. This is going to redirect you to Husam's channel, so go and support him. We're back live tonight after Barcelona versus Inter, so get yourselves back here on the Football Terrace. I'm live at 7 p.m. tonight as well, by the way, on the United stand. So if you want to come talk Manchester United over there with me, I'll see you in about an hour and a half. Take care. Goodbye. God bless everybody, and we'll see you all again very, very soon. Hang on, my screen's frozen. I can't press the end stream key. Hang on. So I'm still frozen. Am I still frozen?
You're not frozen for me, though.
Yeah, I'm frozen for me. I can't press the... Hang on, I'll end it another way. There we go. Hang on, wait. Stay on page. There we go. It's back now. There we go. Thank you, everybody.